At first I thought it wasn't working. At first, is it really the same thing? However, after more than a month, things started to look different. That's when I could see it with my own eyes. I am Kim Mi-soon, living in Husari, Gyeongbo-gu, Yongtaek City, and I am from Murong Food Village. In Murong Food Village, we do a lot of farming, focusing mainly on field crops, although we also grow some grains. We cultivate pumpkins, squash, peppers, leafy greens, and pickled cabbage. I'm growing various crops, including perilla, but I particularly favor peppers. The damage to the peppers seems worse than the first time. I think it was due to cicadas or something back then. Having experienced such a major setback, it's truly unbelievable that my peppers are still in such good condition. Honestly, the disease usually spreads rapidly, but it's amazing that my peppers have remained healthy. I happened to be introduced to High Coat by the owner of a Seoul pesticide company, and I thought it wouldn't hurt to try it out on one crop as an experiment, thinking it might be beneficial. But since you only live once, I decided to give it a shot. I thought, why not try it on some other crops? So I used it on peppers, cucumbers, and pumpkins. After using it, we noticed a real difference. It truly felt different when we observed it. Initially, we thought there was no effect at all. Could it be that? But after more than a month, things started to look different. It was around that time. I could see it with my own eyes. Before, I couldn't see it at all. I thought to myself, did I make a mistake? But after using it, I realized that wasn't the case at all. Every day felt different, and I was quite pleased with the results. I realized that using it was a good decision. It truly is worth its cost. Although the amount used wasn't large, when I measured it with a spoon, it turned out to be more than expected. Depending on the broth, peppers, which were planted densely, required more fertilizer, while squash, planted more sparsely, needed less. I decided to use less and try it out more challengingly. At first, there were barely any peppers on the plants, and it seemed like only the stems were growing, showing no real effect. I even took some photos and sent them to the agricultural store owner in Seoul. We went to check the plants together, and I mentioned, "Sir, other farmers' pepper plants have around 20 peppers each, but ours have only 5 or 6. Is this not working?" When they saw the picture, they said they wouldn't know until the branches grew more. So I thought, maybe that's true, and waited. Later, I realized it was really different. The way the fruits were attached was different. While other farms had peppers growing low to the ground, our peppers not only grew taller, but also spread out more widely, covering a larger area. Regarding the sweet pumpkins, during the rainy season, the vines often get overwhelmed with powdery mildew. This mildew leaves the pumpkins exposed to direct sunlight, which causes them to get sunburned. Consequently, about half of the pumpkins end up rotting. But by wrapping around the squash, the vines prevent sunburn. It seems the vines need to stay fresh to see this effect. The vines were completely overtaken by powdery mildew, leaving only the squash visible. In the intense summer heat, the squash ended up getting sunburned, which led to them rotting entirely. They rotted 100% and had to be discarded from the field. However, the fertilizer, High Coat, managed to support the vines to some extent, partially protecting the squash. We wrapped the squash, and we saw a significant increase in the yield of both squash and pumpkins. Now, after aging, we'll ship about 50 boxes daily starting tomorrow. The cucumbers have plumped up nicely. I've grown cucumbers for over 20 years, but this year I didn't use any middle-grade fertilizer. Even though we didn't give any additional treatments, just applying it once made the stems so thick that they didn't even fit in the boxes. I thought this might be a negative effect because they were too thick, but the Garekdong market liked it. When it comes to disease prevention, our only option is to apply treatments regularly. When working, even once a week feels tough. I think you need to apply it at least once every 2 weeks, regardless of the weather. Even if it rains, you can't skip it. If the rain stops for a moment, you still need to apply it. Just like we consistently eat 3 meals a day, you must regularly apply the fertilizer and nutrients. I think it's essential to apply the treatment regularly, at least once every 10 days. Should I pick some peppers now? Wow, these peppers are incredibly strong, aren't they? Look at this pepper. It's huge, even at the top. I've never seen one this big before. The bottom ones are also large. Even at the very bottom, you can see how thick it is. It's thick like this all the way to the top. There aren't many thick ones at the top. They all grow. No peppers after picking 2 or 3 times at the bottom. But seeing how the peppers have grown so big and healthy all the way to the top this year, I really feel that using the fertilizer was a very good decision. Will you use it next year?